Welcome back. We're back. Two fans, one Paul. Myself, David Quist. Lovely co-host, KB Kirk Brown. Week 10. It's every week KB gets harder to say. And the NFL's in like week 9. So the season's moving along. I think we have football. It's one of those times of the year, KB, we have football like 60 days in a row or something crazy. With Thursday night, Friday night, and then you have Saturday, Sunday, Monday night, and then you have the weird games on Tuesday with
the Maction Tuesday games.
There's like Maction and Conference USA games. So there's always football on for pretty much the rest of I think, October, November. So it's pretty sick. Can't complain here.
Well, October's over, so.
Well, it's Halloween tomorrow, so it's not over until it's over, baby. But love Halloween. It's probably one of my top 3 holidays nowadays. Looking forward to trick-or-treating with the kids tomorrow. Watching Scream. That's kind of our Halloween tradition. But we'll throw it to KB, and we'll get into these games. It's a lighter week, in my opinion, KB, but still some fun matchups to go over.
Well, and this was the weekend that was supposed to be the end-all, be-all of weekends. I think at preseason there was 12 ranked matchups or something crazy this week. And that has not pushed through to the rest of the season. Obviously, a lot of teams have dropped out of the top 25 rankings. Yeah, excited. I'm going to be back in Michigan next week, so excited to see all the fall. We might have an in-person episode or do it a little earlier. Got to talk with Quist on what the timeline is. But overall, really excited for this week of college football, even though it is a lighter week. I am going to be missing part of it, so I'll be watching a lot of cut-ups and recordings because I'm going to a bar crawl. My wife, this is her favorite holiday. So she wants us to go out to a little bar crawl, and I figured I'd participate, in a marriage sometimes when it's football season, right? Now, Quist, you brought up a good point, and I'm excited for the games. But you said it was your top 3 holidays. I need your holidays in order. What are your top 3, man?
Thanksgiving, Christmas, and then Halloween. I can see Halloween bumping up because I'm not a huge gift giver. I have some stories. I love the family vibes. That's why Thanksgiving's one, and the food. Love Christmas, don't get me wrong, but I just would rather hang out, chill. I don't want to feel obligated to buy a gift. And then as an older adult with a kid, Halloween's chill. You buy some candy, your kid dresses up and has a hell of a time with their friends and their cousins and the family. It's just a good time. I know people like the 4th of July. Memorial Day and Labor Day are great, but 4th of July, I don't have a place to go. We have some stories with that one, too, with my mom and the wife, that it wasn't a great time, but... right now, those are my top 3, and Halloween could go close to Christmas, just depending on how things play out, because it's just chill. You're having fun. Trunk or treats are great now, KB. I never had those as a kid, but they're kind of taking over. I still think trick or treating is great, but we could have a huge discussion about that. But that's my ranking.
Yeah. I mean that's you have a good neighborhood for that where you live at. But yeah, trunk or treat's huge out here. Obviously, sometimes the weather, like it's going to be like 92 this weekend. So in the same way that sometimes Michigan weather is horrible, it's pretty hot if you're getting all dressed up in multiple layers. Just to give my Thanksgiving's one for me too. So very interesting that
Let's go, baby.
The family vibe, and I think the football vibe too. And there's just way less drama, expectations. I'm gonna put Christmas 2. So very similar start, and then 4th of July is 3 for me. Halloween isn't necessarily my gig. It usually means going out and talking to a bunch of people. And 4th of July is kind of like it isn't fun out here, but I usually travel back to Michigan for it, which makes it a way better holiday. And all of our friends from my high school friend group and even middle school, we get together, so it's usually a fun time, 4th of July for me. But sorry for the segue.
No, that's great. We got a ranking.
We got a ranking. Maybe we'll do a weekly ranking of some sort. But, Quist, what game do you want us to start off with? Are we starting off in kickoff order, or are we going with...
Kickoff order, baby.
So kickoff order. So
Vandy at Texas, correct.
Vandy, Texas here. Arch Manning is still questionable on if he's going to be able to play. I haven't seen what the reports are. Maybe likely, I don't know. So I'm taking Vandy in this game. I really like their defense. They're really tricky, and I think a younger quarterback that's going to be trying to step in that has only had a week of practice, I think that's a really tough situation to step into. He threw one good pass last week, but I don't think that's the whole story. This is a very porous offensive line for Texas, and I think Vandy's going to be able to get after him. And I think this is a low-scoring, close game, but you're giving me Vandy and you're giving me points. I always like that matchup. I think Texas, at this point in the season, with how poorly their offense has performed, has to rely on their defense. And in battles of offenses, with how good Vandy's defense has been, I'm taking Vandy. In a similar win to last week over Missouri, I think all these teams are kind of at the same level of capability, where Texas is just so young this year with how many players they lost in the draft this year that they're not quite ready to take that step. They have a bit of a step back here.
Yeah,
what are we thinking, Quist?
Yeah, the spread's 3.5. And I'm looking at all the games for Texas this year. I mean, a close loss against OSU, some wins against teams that don't matter. 8-point loss to Florida, beat Oklahoma pretty handily, which is kind of the weird one of the year. And then they beat Kentucky by 3 in overtime and barely beat Mississippi State after making a huge comeback. As you've been saying, KB, they've been kind of struggling. It doesn't seem like they're. I think Quinn Ewers was big. They had a lot of guys on the outside and some pretty good running backs last year and probably better O-line. So it seems that's the reason why they're struggling. And I'm going to ride with the KB. This Vandy team is fun. I love the coach. We all like Diego. Shout out to his mom, always being in interviews with him because we love Diego's mom. But that defense is stingy too, and they make things interesting and close, and they find ways to put pressure on the quarterback, I think, and that's probably the difference here. If it's Arch or the other guy, Matthew Caldwell or something like that, super white guy name, I don't think it matters. I can see this being like a 24-17, 24-13 kind of game where maybe Vandy starts slow. Texas is, decent environment. They sell out most of the time. It can get pretty loud. But I think, him being in his 12th year, and this team being hungry to get a win. I do like their running back too. I think they need to give him the ball more for Vandy. But it seems like that they have a dynamic offense that knows how to move the ball. Maybe they don't score a lot. And Diego, if he doesn't make a lot of mistakes, they could score more points than last week. But just don't really trust Arch yet. I think the people in Texas get a slow start. Give him some more time. He's young. I think he'll be fine in a year or two. Let Sark cook a little bit and let this team develop as, college football is different. We're out of the COVID time where everybody's in their 5th, 6th season where you have grown men that should be in the NFL or being, working a real big boy job outside of football. So it's just different now. You gotta develop guys. We're back to what it used to kind of be before COVID.
Yeah, I do want to make sure that we are clear too. The Oklahoma game is definitely the outlier on the season, but there was 3 turnovers, which gave them a bunch of short fields and also a punt return for a touchdown. So they only scored 16 on offense, right? So you kind of got to put that into perspective too. That they scored 16 on Oklahoma, and that's kind of the reality of it. But any other drops on that game? Like I said, I like rolling with Vandy. I like rolling with the Doors. Any other thoughts?
No, give me the Commodores. Looking forward to that one. I think it'll be a fun one. Good way to start the day because the next game is our game. My game, actually, not our game. My game. I don't play for the team, but my team I root for, Michigan State at Minnesota. 3:30 kick on BTN. The spread is only 3.5. Over/under is 46.5.
It's moved down from 5.5.
So the money's going towards us.
Yeah.
Somehow.
So I mean, Minnesota's. I'm going to talk about them real quick, Quist, and then I'm going to kick this all to you for the full run up. But Minnesota's had an interesting 2 weeks. They go out 2 weeks ago and blow out Nebraska, look to dominate that game, and then they come out and get absolutely dog walked by Iowa. And Iowa, I mean, they only have 2 losses. Gronowski, I think, threw his first Power 4 touchdown pass
this
in that
late
game
into the
against
season.
Minnesota. This late in the season,
Yikes.
He has 5 passing touchdowns, and I think that was his first Power 4 one. He has 8 rushing though, so he's very effective on the ground, especially in the red zone. But really impressive performance, but they've been a roller coaster, Quist. So how are we feeling about your Spartans? 5 straight at this point, right? 3-5, 5 straight losses.
0-5 in the Big Ten, baby.
0-5 in the Big Ten. Do they get one here on the road out in Minnesota? What are our thoughts?
I've got zero faith in this team, unfortunately. Darius Taylor, Detroit kid. I don't know if he's healthy or not, but he's a really good running back for Minnesota. I think their defense is decent. I know they got wagoned by Iowa, but I think in the go ahead. Am I missing something?
Yeah, there's a pick 6, a punt return for a touchdown, and I think they had one pass. They scored in every facet of the game. They defensively scored, special team score, and before you knew it, it was 28-0 midway through the second, and just Minnesota especially, but no one's really built to come back from that in the Big Ten, Old West, if you will.
Yeah, for sure. So, I think their defense is halfway decent. I don't think they really missed too much of a step with Joe Rossi coming to state. So, I think, knowing our situation, I think our coaching staff is I think Smith is coaching for his job this game. If we lose this game going into a bye week, I wouldn't be surprised if J-Bat pulled that trigger. I've said this before, KB, I really wasn't on the boat of having him get fired during the middle of the year. It's just not a fun situation for everybody involved, but it might have to happen, unfortunately, because that's just the way it is these days. But if they figure it out, I think what can happen is I've heard rumblings that they might start Alessio, the backup quarterback, just to see what they have going forward. I don't think Childs has played terrible, but I don't think Childs has done enough to, take that step forward. I don't think he's thrown a passing touchdown since the USC game. So that's an interesting fact as well. Feed Mekhi Frazier. He stood out in the Michigan game. I still think the O-line is mediocre at best, and there can't be any more coach speak of missing assignments and just not being ready to go. It's your, ninth game of the season, and you've lost 5 in a row. Obviously, energy's down. Everybody hears the outside noise. Well, then you got to come together as a team and beat, a middle-of-the-road Big Ten opponent. I don't think Minnesota's bad, but they're 5-3. Obviously, they're doing better than you. And I think if you put these guys on paper, skill to skill, KB, I would say they're pretty equal. Maybe you give one team the slight edge looking at the teams in the preseason. So I don't have a lot of faith in this team to win. I just think we shoot ourselves in the foot. I don't think the coaching's been good enough. If Joe Rossi's on the sideline again, I'd love to see that because I could not see that in the stadium. Obviously, on the TV, I heard he got a little fired up a couple times. That's what we want a little bit more of because it sounds like Smith has his microphone up at the time. He doesn't talk a lot. He's just standing there. We just want, I guess, the team, when you're not doing well, fans want some more. So I just think Minnesota might be too much. The team's energy's down, KB. Lean on that running game for Minnesota, and they probably get a close win, as much as I don't want to say that.
Yeah, I think you brought it up really well. And, I mean, this is, again, another game. It's just like, where are you at in the Big Ten? Are you a mediocre team? Maybe you had the one at-home loss. I mean, it was a bit embarrassing to UCLA, but sometimes you play a bad game, and I just felt like they came out flat and didn't have a good game plan for that team. But overall, these are the teams, if MSU wants to eventually establish itself, these are the games that you have to win in a season like this, where maybe you're down, you're still building, but Minnesota is in perpetual mediocrity. They haven't ever really gone up. They had one season where they almost sort of did something with PJ Fleck at the helm, but they've always just kind of been lingering around mediocrity. Is this the season where MSU can reestablish itself and at least beat a mediocre team? I don't think so. I think this coaching staff is lost, and I don't want to blame energy on the sideline because when you're winning, you want your coach to act the way he is. You want him to be level-headed. You don't want him to get too high. But when your team's that low, you have to do some heavy lifting. And I thought that's what's your D coordinator's name again?
Joe Rossi.
Rossi. I thought he did that really well. I thought he gave energy to that sideline where I think Smith probably wants the players to create that, but you guys don't have leaders on the team, I don't feel like. It feels like your team is leaderless. It feels like Childs is just regressed at some aspects of the game where at least last year he was fucking howitzing balls downfield that were caught. Now he's just checking down inaccurately. It's even worse than last year. I mean, outside of turning the ball over 3 times a game he was, he's regressed in all of the ceiling shrunk and the bottom grew, but that it left the team in a very weird space where you thought hey, at least the ceiling will grow and the bottom will come up, and it's kind of shrunk altogether. I feel like. So I'm taking Minnesota in this game. I think MSU loses 6 straight. I think they fire Smith. I think that it's going to be absolute chaos, and you guys are going to be fighting for scraps of coaches.
I don't think so. I think there's a way to go about it. I think we'll be fine.
I mean, you got so many. Here's an example.
You can't be scared. Obviously, you gotta know your guy. You can't be scared.
Well, you have to have a plan. I don't think you can fire Smith without a very well set plan of
They've been talking. I guarantee it. I bet you.
Yeah.
You got Magic and Ishbia at least, and there's a bunch of other donors. I mean, and then J-Bat's a fundraiser, but I don't know.
Do you put them ahead of Florida?
No, but it's a different culture.
Penn State.
That's interesting. Probably not overall, but I mean, there was a time and place where we were above them.
Right. So Arkansas is kind of where I would compare, or Virginia Tech. So that's who you're going to be fighting against. So you're going to be getting second tier and then fighting amongst.
I think Golish is still. Hopefully that's how you say his name. I think that's a good fit. Everybody and former players are saying Max Bola. I really don't like that. He's too young. maybe hire him as a DC or have him the guy in the waiting. He's only 31, so
he's a MAC head coach, is what he is. He is a MAC head coach.
Everyone just wants people that are like former players for the team because they know the
they
culture.
They want to relive the glory days because they're like, if it was just Antonio, like, yeah, man, it's a completely different world where you have to deal with NIL and talking with boosters. Like,
you want that feel, but it's a different time. You know, that's probably what people want.
Absolutely. You want someone that can recreate that culture, but definitely not him. Maybe in 8 years when he's
bring him over. I wouldn't mind him being in DC. I think he does fine Notre Dame, but he's only a linebacker coach. So people brought up Narduzzi's name. I don't know if I like that. I don't want Brian Kelly, a known hated person on this podcast and not a good person. Another story came out about him, about a LSU player that like got medically retired, and Brian Kelly just straight up stopped talking to him. So another story to add to why we don't like this guy. So if there's any chatter about that, I will be very disappointed in not a school I went to, but a school that I pay my money to. I've donated and I pay tickets for. So hopefully not.
Yeah, all-time GVSU Laker legend, right?
Right,
He's won a lot of games there, so that's both of our alumni. You know, go Lakers, anchor up.
Can't be fair, sever.
Yeah, but no, I just wanted to bring that up because like I was just thinking like you guys are definitely in like the tier below like the LSUs and all those, and I think that like maybe this isn't the season where there's so many huge openings, and that maybe it's something that you guys could be like, hey, we'll give them 3 years where like. But still, because like with the way Childs performed, we talked about is he leaving? He's probably coming back, you know. So maybe that's a positive.
Or he leaves with Smith. You don't know. I will say, I was thinking about it when you're talking about like there hasn't besides the Boston College 40-yard bomb to Marsh, there hasn't been a throw like the one he made against Maryland last year when it was like I think it was a 60 or 70-yard touchdown in stride. You know, we haven't. I don't know if the play calling's been there either, but we haven't seen a lot of throws like that where he puts it on a dime to a guy on the team.
Yeah, and a lot of that too, right, is scheming. Once you see that he's so good at throwing the ball downfield, you're going to put safeties over the top. You guys can't really run, and he's bad at checking down. So, like, hey, give him all the check downs. He's going to miss 2 of them, you know, and we're going to be able to get off the field. So, yeah, but I definitely agree that they haven't schemed up as many deep shots as maybe we thought that they were going to in Childs' tenure when he started last year off, for sure. Any other thoughts about MSU, Minnesota? We're both riding with Minnesota. We're 2 for 2 in agreement so far.
Yeah, no. I would thinking about the game last week. I wish we had some trick plays in there. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, there really wasn't anything crazy last week, which we thought could have happened. Just a random thought.
Perfect. All right, Michigan hosting Purdue. 7 o'clock. One of my coworkers is actually flying back from here in Arizona to go watch that game. I think also to visit family, but that's a little fun fact about this. I'm going to miss part of this / most of this game. I hope it's on at some of the bars that we're at. I'll be definitely locked in.
Are you going downtown?
Going downtown, Phoenix, a little bar crawl that my wife really wants, and I always try to give her one weekend a year where
it's I
don't make Michigan football, you know, the most important thing. And it's usually Halloween weekend, unless they're playing state. I would never give up that weekend. But Purdue's the worst team in the country, and I kind of have the philosophy, well, if they lose this game, I don't want to watch it because I'll have more fun rewatching it when I can pause and rewind and know what happened. But Michigan hosting Purdue. Purdue's horrible. I think offensively they could possibly create some problems, but defensively this needs to be a get good game from Underwood. I think he missed a lot of reads. I think he was sped up a little bit in the pocket. One of the big plays that you guys ran was the corner, the nickel blitz in the press on the slot receiver that ran 3 or 4 times. It was the fumble play that got overturned. He was pressured on a goal-to-go situation on that, and he also, I believe, was pressured another time where he had to throw the ball away early. So I'm really interested to see how they handle that. I think that's on the running back. The running back has to see that out of the corner of the eyes. He has to block small on small. You can't expect a lineman to get that. But Jamal Haynes has missed a good amount of blitz pickups. If there's a hole in his game right now, pass protection is definitely one of them. Hopefully we see Jordan Marshall on the field a little bit more. Like to see some more creative play calling. But just don't get too cute with it either. You know, I mean, this is a game that you can only lose if your QB turns it over 3 times, if you make a bunch of dumb mistakes. And, you know, I think special teams is definitely an area of growth. I was rewatching the Michigan game. Michigan got a 15-yard penalty after a kickoff, and they caught the ball
it with nobody close to
on the 15-yard line, or 10 or 15, and there was no one until the 35. There's no defender until the 35. Our linemen haven't even started blocking yet. We had a fair catch on the 5-yard line.
Yep.
We had a guy almost get hit by a ball, which people probably didn't realize, but it was pretty close to hitting him because our returner wasn't yelling fire. And can our returner, if he's at the 50, run forward to catch a punt? I don't know why the philosophy is you can't run forward. Literally half the year, punts have been rolling out 20, 15, 20. That's 2 first downs that we're just giving up because our punt returner won't move up to fucking catch a ball. Very, very frustrating. So I just want a clean game. I hope Wink plays it pretty level-headed defensively. I've been really impressed with that group. Outside of the long touchdown run or set up for the touchdown, that was the 54-yarder when we had like our third or fourth strings in, which is an excuse because why are we playing our third and fourth stringers in the middle of the second quarter? I don't know. But I've been really impressed with that unit down to down since kind of the back end of the USC game. But I just want to see this offense click and move, and we don't need to run the ball down this team's throat. If we have to pass and there's some failure, let there be some failure. Bryce, every single pass attempt he throws that's an incompletion or mistake is a learning moment, and we want him right for the last 3 games where we're playing a good Northwestern defense, a pretty competent Maryland defense that has a really, really good pass rush, and then obviously Ohio State. So let him learn and grow in this game, and hopefully that it's really well set up. But
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Looking forward to this game and watching it back.
I wouldn't be surprised, KB, if they leaned on the run game. I do want Underwood to step up. I think the State game was not a step back at all, but it was 8 for 17. I just didn't feel like they let him do much. Like we talked about, really just let the run game do its thing because it was working. If Brown is healthy for Purdue, I think he's pretty decent quarterback. He's a Michigan kid. I think he's from like Canton, so maybe he's going to be kind of juiced up and ready to go because he's from the area. So wouldn't be surprised if he has a decent game. I know Michigan's defense is decent, but sometimes with this, the coaches from Utah or from UNLV, so they know how to scheme up and get the ball moving around. The go-go, I don't know if it's quite the go-go, but they know how to get the ball out and around. Do you know what they're?
Marion did not follow him, which is kind of the guy. It's Barry Odom is the head coach for them, which I think he has some aspects. He has a really large trick play portfolio, and he's really, really smart offensive coordinator. But this team, it just isn't as skilled. Notre Dame put up 70 on them in the first quarter. I think there's opportunities here to really grow and get Michigan comfortable with running competent offense. And there was a really good thing, and if any of you guys want to see a film breakdown, Al Borges with Sam Webb did a film breakdown on a 3 tight end set that was stacked, and they just murdered MSU with that. So we think about scheming in the pass game. There's a lot of scheming happening in the run game, and I just want some of that creativity and success more so. Not creativity because I think they do some creative things, but success to flow into the pass game. But again, he's a true freshman QB, right? There's games like this in a season. He's trending to that 2,010 touchdowns, minimal INT track number that I put out at the start of the year, where if he gets there, all is well and good, right? I don't think you can be super, super impressed. He's not putting up Trevor Lawrence's numbers, but he also doesn't have 3 NFL wide receivers and a full NFL offensive line. We are starting 6 freshmen or redshirt freshmen on this offense at this point, 3 on the offensive line, 1 at receiver, 1 at running back when you have Hoffman in the QB. So, this is a very young group that's going to be able to grow together too. So you got to consider that when you're God, this offense, well, passing is a little bit more difficult concept when you don't have the reps, right? That's the difficulty part where running the ball is a little bit more, just put your head down and move a guy. And, this is a little bit more finesse, right? But anyway.
Yeah, this one might bite me in the butt, KB, but I think Purdue can cover this game just because it might bite me, but I can see Michigan give up a late touchdown when Purdue's still kind of trying, and they're up by 28, and that hook, 21 and a hook could make a difference. But I think Michigan wins. I would like to see Bryce. I kind of said it last week. He only had 18 throws, I think. I would be surprised if he got 20 against State. I hope he has 20 to 25, maybe more, just to get the reps in and practice a little bit. But if he's struggling again, they will lean on the run game, so we'll see what happens. But we'd love to see Purdue put up a little bit of a fight and have them take a step forward and not be in the bottom basement of the Big Ten.
Yeah, I'm taking Michigan in this game. I hope it isn't a fight at all. I hope it's an absolute slaughter. I hope that Michigan comes in, runs its stuff, executes it well, and puts Purdue exactly where they should be, which is at the bottom of the conference.
Fair enough. We can go To the last game, KB, which I think is a very interesting one for the Big 12. The Big 12 has been a fun conference the last 2 years, and this one has a lot at stake. 17 Cincinnati, 5-0 in the Big 12, is going to Utah, late game, 10:15 Eastern Time. 3-2 the Big 12. So Cincinnati's at the top of the Big 12. Who would have thought that after a kind of a weird loss to Nebraska? I think Cincinnati's probably found their stride. I think Sorsby's their QB. He's kind of jumped around. I'm not even sure who the coach is anymore at Cincinnati, but they find ways to win and keeping a decent program. But I love this Utah team. Whittingham's been there forever. They're tough. I like the quarterback. He's just athletic. And I haven't watched a lot of the Cincinnati team. It's a 10-point game, 10-point spread, 10.5 in favor of Utah, which is a little surprising. I'm gonna go with the Cincinnati Bearcats and let's them cover. I don't know a lot about this team, KB, but I know Sorsby can sling it, and they find ways to win. You might know more than I do, but I'll throw it to you. I just like the Cincinnati Bearcat vibe right now.
Yeah, this is Scott Satterfield. He was the Louisville coach.
Oh, okay.
Previously, and was obviously at Appalachian State for a long time, from 2013 to 2018, and was previously the wide receivers, running backs coach, and he was a quarterback from 91 to 95 at Appalachian State. So saw a lot of success when he was at Appalachian State. So this is an interesting matchup because Cincinnati and Utah, they had the one real big loss, obviously, when they ran up against Texas Tech at home. Dampier was really injured in that game, if you guys remember. And it's kind of one of these games where you're at Utah, right? Utah also has a close loss to BYU, where they outplayed the hell out of them, and it was just a bunch of really bad special teams plays, which could be the difference in this game. Special teams is going to play a huge role, but I'm taking Utah on this. Mm-hmm. Cincinnati is going on the road. They're playing a 10 o'clock game in the mountains, right? They're at elevation here. That's going to be a huge difference for them. And when you look at Cincinnati, right, they lost their game to open the season to Nebraska. We've seen that Nebraska is a middling team that they can fight, but this team cannot stop the run. And they did decently well, and this team just kept throwing the ball. But Cincinnati played a close game, a 14-point game, and is closer than that against Bowling Green. They blow out a BS team. They beat Kansas by 3. They have a one-score game against Iowa State, and Iowa State has been riddled with injuries. They had a 9-point win against UCF. They blow out OK State. They blow out Baylor. Like, they haven't played anyone at this skill level.
True.
And they're on the road.
True.
So give me Utah. I think Utah is going to cover this 10 points. 10 and a half, sorry. And I just love the way that this team can attack. And I think that Cincinnati has kind of been at the will of a pretty poor scheduling. And I think they're going to be able to ride it out. They got Arizona, BYU, and TCU. So even with this loss, will be their first conference loss. They can possibly lose the second one and still get in with the way the schedule sets up. I think that this is a fine team, but I think Utah is a better team at this point in the season. I really like the way that this team can move the ball efficiently, what their offense looked like. And if you guys haven't watched much of Utah outside of the weird offensive game where they were playing against Texas Tech, and Dampier obviously couldn't do what he wanted to do, this is a really effective unit. So give me the Utes, especially at home. That's a really tough environment.
And on top of that, KB, Cincy's leading rusher is out, it sounds like, against Utah, which could hurt them as well. I don't have anything else for this game, KB. I do have a fun fact of the week, though, I heard and saw. For the first time all season, Week 10, Miami is traveling out of the state of Florida.
That's crazy.
That's insane. I can only imagine. My team had to play at 11 o'clock at night across the country.
Another fun fact, and this is something that I find super fun and interesting when you look at things. Someone was talking about Indiana's success, and I'm just going to kind of take a beat because they have a couple big games down the stretch here. But people are like, Indiana fans are talking a little bit too much. Like, maybe act like you've been there. Guys, when we say that this is the worst team of all time, this is the worst team of all time. Look at their go up and look at the records against Ohio State. Look at the records against Michigan.
Can't imagine.
Look up the records against basically everyone. They have a losing record against Northwestern, guys. This is a horrible historically football team. So them achieving this level of success is unprecedented. They can basically do everything except take their dick out and piss on someone, and I'd probably defend them because they're never experienced this before. And I don't want us, and I know it's cool now to, oh, like act like you've been there. Like, no, like act like you've never been there before and you're never going to get back because you don't know what football is going to be. You think Penn State fans, after losing the semifinals last year, after finally making the playoff, were like, oh, it won't matter. We're going to be there next year. Like, no. Every single year can be something chaotic, something different. When you have those successes, hold on to it. Really, really appreciate it. Anything else, Chris, before I kind of list some of the other games this week that I just want to highlight?
No, they're 519, 719, and 46. So the 4.4.
They're 200 games below 500.
Correct, right on the dot.
200 games.
519, 7, and then 719, and then 46 ties back when that was a thing.
And that's including they've only lost 2 games in the last 2 years.
2 conference titles. The last one was in 67.
2 conference titles, and they've been in the Big Ten since what, like a long
Probably
time. They're one of the
50s or 60s, I would assume at the minimum.
Yeah. So I mean, it's bad. It's bad.
Basketball school. Obviously, they don't have a hockey team.
State.
So let them ride this. I sent a clip to the guys. What Signetti says, he's like, no pressure. He's got all these one-liners, KB, in succession. He says probably to the team, never satisfied until the end of the game. All these other things, and it's like, if you believe in that and you like this guy, you could follow him all day probably, and then you're going to because you just got paid a shit ton of money to stay there.
Yeah, he's a woo me coach. Like, if he's your team's coach, you love him. But if you're anyone else that plays him, you're like, fuck that dude. He's a dick. He runs the score up on everyone.
Yeah, that's all I got though for him. For that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, other games, Penn State, Ohio State. We thought this was going to be the week of all weeks. Penn State coming off a bye. Ohio State also off a bye. How do both those teams look? Miami, SMU, like you said, traveling out of the state for the first time.
SMU's falling
Georgia,
off.
Florida, and that matchup where we have a coach trying to be replaced. Texas Tech, Kansas State is a fun game. And then Oklahoma, Tennessee, that has huge playoff implications because both teams don't really have a margin for error. So this is basically a de facto elimination game between the two of them. Tennessee doesn't have a win against a team over 500 this season, and they have 2 losses to 2 top 10 teams. So their schedule has been very, dumbbell loaded, where they either play really, really high-end competition or really, really low-end competition. So this is one of those games where we finally see a not top 10 teams, still top 25, so how will they fare in this one? Can they get a huge win in this one? Because they have 2 pretty decent matchups the next 2 weeks, and then they finish the season with Vandy. And I can't believe we're already in the last little bit of the season, 4 games left. We're 2/3 of the way through, guys. This season goes so fast. Obviously, we still have a bye week, so there's more than that many weeks left, but absolutely crazy. I appreciate all of you for listening. As always, make sure we give us suggestions. And the season's coming quicker, so we do need off-season ideas.
Bowl Mania, baby. I'm going to win again.
Yeah, we got Bowl Mania that maybe we'll put together something for all of us to maybe join in on, but 100% Quist. And then if you guys have any off-season ideas, I think it's both Quist and I's preference to maybe do a little bit more off-season stuff this year than we did last year for sure. But with all that being said, I appreciate you guys. Go Blue.
Yeah, thanks, KB. Hopefully I'm not as dead as I feel about my team after this weekend. I guess we'll see. It's tough out here. And hockey's on a bye week, and the basketball team can't win a hard exhibition game if it matters to you at all. But looking forward to Halloween. As we talked earlier, it's a heck of a time. It's a fun time with a little kiddo. And no matter what, watching some football this weekend. We got the Lions back as well, which is something to look forward to. And the Wings are good if we're sports people at all. So love to hear that and see that. And thanks as always to KB for chit-chatting us up. But thank you guys as always for listening. And as always from me, go green.